Hi, everybody, and good afternoon. Welcome to 13 Now. I'm News 13's Amy Hoyt, and as you may or may not know, today is Buddy Check Day. It is our Breast Cancer Awareness Day that we provide here at News 13 to remind women to check for lumps, because as you know, if you find a lump and you go to your doctor, that prevention is key when it comes to breast cancer. So today's a big day for us here at News 13, and here on 13 Now, we have been talking each month to breast cancer survivors, and today we have another special guest, Tara Jones. Welcome to News 13 and 13 Now. Tara is a breast cancer survivor, so we appreciate you coming to share your story today. Tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all.
I am a mom of 2 young kids and a military wife.
Well, that's good. That's a good start. And I threw that at you, didn't I? All right, let's talk about the breast cancer. First of all, you had told me you were diagnosed in November of 2017, the year before the hurricane.
Right.
Did you find the lump yourself?
I did.
You did?
I had turned 40, had my mammogram, thought, oh, I'm good. And then 6 months later, I found it.
Interesting. What does your doctor say when you call him back and say, you're not going to believe this?
It'll go away.
Yeah?
That's what they told me. I had to go see a doctor on base, so not exactly my OB. I was required to go on base, and they said, oh, those just go away. It'll be fine. And I said, I really think this is different. So it took my gynecologist talking them into seeing me. And they went through everything. They did the ultrasound, and there was no fluid in it. It was solid. So it made them a little concerned. So they sent me to a surgeon to have a biopsy.
And that's where they determined, yes, you were right.
Yes.
Yeah, see, women know themselves, and you know your body. I guess it's interesting, and we've heard it before, not just with you, and mammograms are great, don't misunderstand me, but where the woman found the lump following a clear mammogram.
Yes.
So how do they rationalize that?
Mine was so small. It was a tiny lump, and I just happened to be sitting on the couch and reading and just kind of moved and felt it. It was right under my arm. And I don't know if it had just appeared or just got in the right spot that I could feel it, but yeah, the mammogram did not pick it up.
Right. Sometimes I guess maybe machines, I hate to say machines aren't humans, but they're just kind of like us too. Sometimes they miss it, or it's hidden, like you said. It could have been under a fatty part of the body. All right, let's talk now. So they determine, yes, this needs to be checked. So where do you go from here?
I went to the surgeon, and he was the one that said, this is bad. This is triple negative breast cancer. And I didn't know there were so many kinds. And he said, this is the bad kind. And I was just, it's shocked, you know.
Because it doesn't run in the family.
Right. It did not run in my family. He said, pick an oncologist. I was like, well, I don't know any oncologists. What do I do? So your mind just kind of goes crazy.
Sure.
And my husband had a friend that he was a young guy and had just been through the cancer thing, and so we called him and said, who do we use? So found a local oncologist, and it was really interesting. I just thought you go and you be treated, but I had some older women at my Bible study that talked me into going to MD Anderson, and I never had I just didn't want to disrupt my family. I had these young kids. My husband was busy.
This is in Texas.
Yes, and we went to Houston and to get my treatment plan there.
Right. And where do you go from there? You did chemotherapy first, correct?
I did. I had my surgeries first, so they check your lymph nodes to make sure it hasn't spread.
Are they removing something?
The lymph nodes.
Oh.
So they do. MD Anderson said no more than 3, so they took 1, and it was not in my lymph nodes, luckily. So
are you running back and forth now? Is a surgery here? Or
nope.
you did everything at MD
I
Anderson?
did,
okay.
Yeah, I had my surgery for my lymph node, and then they put the port in so they could do all my chemo through the port out there. And then
how long did you have to stay there?
Just a week. It was a week of tests and surgery, and then it came back, and then a local oncologist did my chemo here.
So in Bay County, you had the treatment.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And so how long was that?
I did 2 months of the really hard chemo, and then another 3 months of lighter chemo.
Yeah. Tell me what the triple what did you call it again?
Triple negative.
The triple negative. Tell me what that means for folks who may not have ever heard of it.
It doesn't respond to a lot of the treatments, so, and it's one of the most aggressive kinds.
Right.
So,
And they have no idea how this comes to be in someone who doesn't have a family history.
no,
No. And so how was that chemotherapy?
it was rough.
Yeah. I think we have some pictures. There you are at the MD Anderson Cancer Center.
Yes.
I like the way they have the word cancer blocked out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I know that's a great place. We've heard, over the years, obviously, it's a great place to go. Is this your doctor?
It is. Well, that was my radiation oncologist. And MD Anderson in Houston is the #1 cancer place to go in the United States. So I highly recommend it. It's like the Disneyland of
If you have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, I see your hair shorter here. We have a couple of pictures. You lost your hair, obviously.
I did
Yeah.
during chemo, and then during radiation, it grew back.
Oh, really? Okay. What kind of feeling is that when the hair starts to fall out?
It was really hard. My kids were 3 and 5 when I was diagnosed. And to them, we had just lost a neighbor a month before I was diagnosed, and she passed away. And they saw her lose her hair, and then they saw her lose her life. And so they kind of thought that's what would happen to their mom.
How do you explain that to them? Because they were small.
They were. It was hard.
What kind of support are you getting from your husband at this point? Because he has to be scared too.
The guy's a rock.
Yeah.
He was really awesome, and he's not really a hand holder. He's a big, tough fighter pilot.
He's a colonel?
He is a colonel, an Air Force colonel, and a pilot. So he kind of just pulled me through. I mean, he was my rock.
Yeah, we're just going to do this, this, and this. The emotion's out so you can get it done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so the chemo is there,
Yes.
and then the radiation is
it's back in Houston.
back in Houston. So did you
Yeah.
come back in between?
I came here for the chemo.
The chemo,
All
and
the
then you went
chemo
back
was
for the
here.
radiation.
Yes.
And what's the difference between the chemo and the radiation?
Well, I had the Red Devil first, which is
It's what they call it.
yes.
I've
which
heard.
is-
They
yeah.
got to change that name.
And that is what took my hair. That was the hard one.
Ah.
The second chemo is when my hair started to go back. It doesn't take it has more side effects, but it didn't take my hair. So
And what are there other side effects? How are you feeling? Did you
were
lose nails or did your skin change?
did. Yeah, your skin dries out really bad. And of course, you lose all of your hair. Things you don't think about, like your eyelashes and your nose hair. Just
Oh, yeah.
very strange.
Now, prior to this going in, did you have any kind of, did you speak to anybody else who had gone through it so you kind of knew what to expect, or did you just get
Well,
thrown into it?
I had this really weird feeling that I should put it on Facebook, and I wasn't like gonna share my story, and I happened to do that, and a friend saw it and put me in touch with Veronica, and yeah, that was my saving grace,
Right.
because nobody understood, and she was just starting her journey.
Right.
Also, we at the same time, and we went to the cancer classes together, and they had makeup classes and wig classes, and we got to do all that together, which was really great.
And you're talking about Veronica Kemeny, who
Yes.
I know too. We're all friends with, and we're going to talk to her in a month down the road. But she was busy today because she's a busy person. She's an Air Force veteran herself, and she's a wonderful person, and
Yes.
that's why she had told me about you. Do we have the picture of her and Veronica? I thought I can't remember if we had that one. I know you had sent it to me. And so, did you wear the wig? Did you go through that, or did you just skip it?
I did, especially at my kids' school events, because they were embarrassed and they didn't.
They
want
don't
me to-
understand.
even with the do-rags and yeah. I
You look kind of
it's
cute there,
fine.
though.
Yeah, thank you. That's one of the wigs. That is a wig that I got in Destin. There was a fabulous wig shop, and that
In this
was-
picture?
Yes, that is.
Wow.
That's the wig. Yeah. So they were more comfortable with that. But of course, in Florida, it's hot, and you don't want to wear a wig in
No.
June and July. So, and I also had a cap. I think I have a picture of that too. It was like a khaki hat, but it had the ponytail and the hair
Ah.
on the sides, so it looked like
Interesting.
you had hair. That was.
Did that help you? Did that
Gosh, it did.
your psyche? I mean, for a woman,
did.
we don't want our hair coming out.
Yes, and it helped me to do my hair or my makeup and wear. I always wonder why people wear the big earrings. You need something there,
Right.
So
All
I
right.
do without hair.
So, how long was the radiation then?
It was 2 months. So it was August through October, like towards the end of August through October.
Did you? And you said you lived there. You stayed there for
I
that.
did. My husband and I lived out there.
Is that what the motorhome was?
It was. That's
So-
what we lived in.
Ah.
Yes. There was a medical campground, like right down
Oh, really?
from the radiation
And
center.
so you can just stay in that.
Yes.
And live in that until. And then where are the kids at this time?
My parents came and watched them. So between my in-laws and my parents, we had a lot of support, much needed support.
Yeah, and that makes a difference, doesn't it?
It does,
You've
yeah.
got to feel for folks who may not have large families or they can't help. It makes a difference, or it must.
It does. And my husband and I are older with young kids, so both of our parents were retired, or both sets of parents were retired, so they could all
They were
help,
able to help.
So.
All right, so at this point, you're done with radiation and the chemotherapy. Now what?
Well, you arrive home 4 days before Hurricane Michael hits.
Oh,
I have no energy. We stayed because we hadn't seen our kids I had come back once, but I was getting
Right.
radiation 5 days a week, so we didn't have a lot of time to go back and forth. It's a 10-hour drive. So,
so then what? So you go through the storm.
yes.
Was your house okay?
Um,
Did you get a new roof like the rest of
we
us?
did, yes. My husband is a rock star. As soon as the storm hit, we had one hole. And he had roofed houses in college, so he jumped up there and fixed the hole. And so we lived in it. I don't know that we should have, but it was,
Right.
so much better than.
And are you still feeling, you must still be feeling the effects. Now you've got a hurricane. How in the world did you get through that?
I don't know. I prayed and I asked for strength, and I was able to put one foot in front of the other. And when they say one day at a time, that is truly all I could do.
So your faith plays a role?
Very much. I don't know how people get through without it. I really don't.
Now, you had sent me a copy of this, and we've seen it before. She is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear. It makes me want to cry. I'm sorry. Fear of the future. Proverbs 31:25. Obviously, it's a Bible verse. But who's the signature on that?
This sign was at MD Anderson, and I had taken a picture of it so I could purchase one. That was the other thing about MD Anderson. There was a little a waiting room. We had to all go in together, and we waited for our radiation therapist to come out, and we all got to talk. We all looked the same. A lot of us were missing hair. There were signs like this, and it was just the neatest atmosphere. It was just such a great atmosphere to.
Did you have that faith prior to this?
I did.
It did.
Yes, but of course you.
Get stronger.
Yes,
Of course.
Yes, you do.
All right. So now, what's happening now? Did you have a lumpectomy?
I did. Yeah, well, they were going to do a biopsy, and they ended up taking it all out.
So that comes after the chemo and the radiation.
That was first. They were going to do a biopsy, and he said because
Oh.
of the placement, they couldn't biopsy it. It was very strange. So
Okay.
he ended up just taking everything
So when they did
out,
the lymph
surgeon.
nodes at the beginning, the lump came out.
Yeah.
Okay. How come, did you have the option of doing the mastectomy?
I did all the gene testing, and I wasn't positive for anything. So MD Anderson recommended not messing with it since the margins were clear. They said, there's lots of research that says just leave it alone. So I did.
Okay, so that's good news there that you didn't have to, breast removal surgery
Right.
and then have to go through the whole thing.
Yes.
All right, now here we are, what is it, a couple of years later, right?
Yes.
How do you look at it now? Do you still have to go for checkups? Where does that stand for you?
I do. I actually have my mammograms in Houston at MD Anderson, and then I see a local oncologist every 6 months. So somebody's checking me about, now I'm down to twice a year. So once with my local and then once at MD Anderson.
Do you take or did you take like the Xeloda or any of those pills? They're like a
Triple
cancer
negative
pill.
doesn't have anything that you can take. You are on your own, and you just pray that they say it comes back. If it comes back in the first 2 to 3 years, it's fatal the second time around. So
You constantly have that on your mind now
yes.
as you get through
Right.
the
In
first couple
October, I'll
years.
be 3 years, so I'll kind of breathe a little easier. And then if I make it 5 years, this kind never returns.
Ah, okay.
So-
Well, that's great news.
It is, yeah.
So you're well on your way. Did you do any of the genealogy, is it, where because you don't have a family history, did you try and go back through old relatives and stuff and say, are we sure great-grandma didn't have breast cancer?
Didn't, but I know my grandmother had it at age 80, and they said, well, that doesn't count.
Because of her age?
Yeah, at that age, it doesn't count. So, but she's the only one.
Would you recommend for women to get the mammograms and do their buddy checks?
Oh, yeah. There's so many women who have just found it on their own. So,
Right.
yes.
And I think that comes to, you know your body best. Now, you're not
Right.
always going to feel it.
No.
But if you do, then you can run and go let the machines confirm it
Right.
and get to a doctor.
Yes.
Is there anything else I didn't ask you that you'd want other women who may be going through this now or may face this in the future?
If you can find somebody who's going through it at the same time, that it's what really, really helped me, is having Veronica to be able to talk to. There were so many strange things. You know, your mind goes so many places, and that was the hardest part. The mental part is the hardest part. So having somebody to be able to, hey, this is happening to me. This seems weird. Is this happening to you? So that was good. And her faith is very strong,
Right.
too. So was very helpful.
And as far as the children go, how are they now? They're like, hey, mommy's great.
They're good. My son is 9 now and does not want to talk about it. He's very like a guy. Nope.
It's over.
Yep.
He
Let's
don't
not
wanna
talk
hear it.
about it. Right. So, but for my daughter, you know, I want to be so cautious, and
Well, now, and I know
Positive.
she's small. Oh, she's young.
she's 6. Yeah.
She's 6, yeah. But when she gets older, they won't recommend she waits to 40 to get a
I think
mammogram
so, yeah.
because now it becomes a family history.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we sure appreciate you sharing your story.
Thank you for inviting me.
And you look wonderful.
Thank you.
And I hope that continues. We'll keep you in our prayers.
Thank you.
All right, Tara. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tara Jones, our Bay County breast cancer survivor. And we thank all of you for tuning in to 13 Now. Today is Buddy Check Day. As Tara said, check your own breast, look for lumps, and then get to a doctor. Don't take no for an answer. Do it all. Check yourself, get a mammogram, get the machines, get your doctor, find an oncologist, and just do it. Ladies, just do it, because we want to keep all of us around for a very long time. A big thank you, too. I want to mention Women's Imaging Center, Bay Radiology, because they sponsor Buddy Check every month. Thanks again for watching, y'all. We'll see you live at 5 and 6. Have a good day.